Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I've done a bunch of videos and podcasts about phone interviews and how to do them more effectively. And this is a show that I'm going to talk with you about some more tips about phone interviewing well. They're easy to implement, they're casual, they involve what I call acting, the theater of phone interviewing. So I hope you find this helpful, and if you do, give No BS Job Search Advice Radio 5 stars in iTunes. It does help other people discover the show. So without any further ado, let's get rolling. Although I've done a video before, or I did a video before about phone interviewing, I want to cover a couple of additional points. And, I'll simply say that you already know that you need to be at a quiet place for the conversation. But there's some fun things that you can do that will help you really excel at a phone interview. When the interviewer calls, you thank them for making the call, and then you say, I've looked at the job description, but, could I get an idea of what it is that you're looking for from me? What's the role that I'm interviewing for? So this way you make sure you're on the same page as the interviewer. Often from the time that the position description has been created until the time that you actually interview, it's evolved a bit. And although the job may read one way on paper, in actuality, they're screening for something a little bit different. So always take the time to ask them what it is they're looking for. Another subtlety is, ask them, how long do you expect we'll be speaking? And you can simply say, I just want to make sure that I have that amount of time in my schedule. If when they're scheduling the interview, they say, can we speak at 1 o'clock? Terrific. How much time should I set aside in my calendar? Just get an idea of the amount of time that you'll be talking with them. Listen to their question. I can't tell you the number of times where people start to get off on these long tirades. And I have to call them a tirade because after a while, they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no recollection of the question is. And I've gone so far as to ask them, do you remember my original question? So try to stay on point by answering the question in 45 seconds or less. If you have to go to a minute, so be it. But try to keep your answers to about 45 seconds in length. And listen to what they're asking you. Along the way, you may want to sound like you're thinking about your answer, like you're being a little reflective. It's acting that you're doing. They can't see that you have notes out in front of you, that you're jotting down some things. Another thing I'll mention to you is, see these? Headphones, right? If you have access to headphones, use them. I find that being hands-free when I do my radio show and when I do my calls all day long is extremely helpful. It just allows me to use my hands. I'm not going to develop a crink in my neck that's going to wind up hurting during the course of my conversations. Use headphones if you can. And finally, at the end of this, you might ask them, so what's going to happen next? When do you expect I'd hear back about next steps in the process? That gives you a sense of timeline. And then, again, nothing I'm talking about is to be done in a way that sounds like you're anxious or nervous. Everything is, again, about the acting of the part. So you might just simply say, so thanks for calling. When do you think I might be hearing back about next steps in the process? Well, I have a number of people to speak with. Of course you have a number of people to speak with. But I'm just trying to get a feel for the timeline that you folks have. Well, I expect we'll be back to you in a week to 10 days. Or, I expect I'll call you tomorrow about scheduling an in-person interview. Or whatever it is. Just get a sense of timeline. And then conclude by saying, I just want you to know, I happen to be particularly interested in this role. I do look forward to hearing from you about next steps, and I'd love to continue further. Firms find it much more appealing when they're being pursued. One of the things that hiring managers in particular hate is when they have to extend an offer that's going to get turned down. So you want to express interest because frequently, it's a differentiator when hiring managers are deciding which person to make the offer to. They've got two individuals. They like them a lot. They're both quite capable. The thing that puts it over the edge for you can be very simply that they think you're interested. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, I want to encourage you to join me at JobSearch.Coaching.HQ.com. That's my site with curated information from around the web that I've personally selected. Information I've created, advice I've created that you can watch, listen to, or read to help you find work more quickly. Again, that site is JobSearch.Coaching.HQ.com. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a great day.
When you're a pro, your reputation is built and proven over time. That's why the Home Depot carries Loctite PL Premium Max Construction Adhesive, the strongest on the market. It stays 100% solid after curing. It won't develop air pockets. And like your reputation, it holds up over time. Right now, get 12 or more for the bulk price of only $8.53 each. Loctite PL Premium Max at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase required, U.S. only.